winds, but there's going to be a large number of us that see high winds, 40, 50 mile per hour winds. Those pockets within these storms that see 60 mile per hour winds, that's where you could have a few trees down and you could have a few power outages. So we do expect probably a couple of more tornado warnings. I expect that for a while we're going to have severe thunderstorm warnings extended out from this, Arkadelphia, Hot Springs, Russellville, and then eventually Conway and Little Rock. After that, I think that these storms will probably begin to weaken, maybe about the time we get to 6 o'clock, and certainly as we get towards 7 o'clock. I think these things will begin to fall apart. So I'll show you the latest Futurecast run, and I'll zoom it out there for you, but it just shows a big line of storms that races east, and as you get towards that 5 and 6 o'clock time frame, this is future radar, remember, it does kind of begin to break apart. And I think this model in particular is doing pretty well, showing the forward progression of the line, and it keeps it pretty strong. Look at that, through 6 o'clock, right through the Little Rock metro area, and maybe areas just to the north and off just towards the southeast. And you kind of see how this model has that storm bowing out. It's kind of got that backwards C shape to it. Well, that is it indicates to us, and I think this model is picking it up, that there's going to be an enhanced threat for a few pockets of damaging winds up to or just over 60 miles per hour. So that is the main concern today. The tornado threat, though, it is there, is definitely smaller than the wind threat. So the storms that I'm really keeping an eye on right now are moving into Yell County, Montgomery County, Pike County, and then down into the Hope area. And south of there, the line kind of gets a little bit more broken down towards the Texarkana area. And Barry, unfortunately, I think the most impressive line segment in the region for severe weather today. I didn't think we had the highest severe weather threat today, but it does look like this line segment, as we go through right now, the next 2 to 3 hours, probably going to see quite a few damaging wind reports.
Yeah, I agree, and we're going to stay with this only because we've had so many power outages in a couple of counties there, and there's a lot of wind along the leading edge of this. It's moving through Mount Ida right now, and I'm going to move this over and give you some sort of perspective. Hot Springs Village, you're going to be in on this line in not too long a time. I'm going to show you what we're looking at, and this is a look to the west, obviously getting very dark for you folks over in Hot Springs with the sun going down in the west and the dark skies blotting out the sunlight coming through there. For us, the relative velocity, though, I think is a key thing, and I think there's just a lot of wind along with this. We'll go to the Little Rock radar site, and you can see out to the west of Mount Ida. That's a lot of wind around Pencil Bluff right now. That's a severe thunderstorm warned storm. And all the way down into southwest Arkansas. Now, we're kind of on the verge of several radar sites here, so they flip back and forth. But around Murfreesboro, there's a lot of wind energy there. It's very broad. It's trying to rotate, but not really rotating. And they're up around Daisy, we had some rotation as well, but in a very, very broad area. So I think damaging winds is probably the more likely culprit. And by far, that's our biggest threat today. But when you get a tornado, even if it's a weak or brief tornado, it accentuates that wind field from a 70 or 80 mile an hour wind to maybe a little bit more than that in a very narrow spot. And that's when you can have some power outages. But the National Weather Service is watching this entire line, and for just little micro rotations within it, little indentations, and it runs all the way from east of Murfreesboro, and that's Pike County, that's Montgomery County, and then we head over into Garland County, Western Hot Spring, and northwestern Clark County there. This continues to move, and I'm just going to show you, James kind of showed you the progression, so it's later this afternoon, it moves into the Little Rock area in whatever strength it is, but this is what's happening just in motion. You can see the forward movement, I believe, has picked up some. Individual storms moving northeast, but the whole line does have an eastward momentum to it, and there are severe thunderstorm warnings along that entire line. No tornado warnings right now. Kind of at the top end of those backward C's, those areas that bow out like that, now that's an indication of wind, but sometimes you can have right at the top edge of that a brief tornado, some rotation at least that tries to start. And so that's why we look so carefully at all of these storms. Color palette, reds and greens, they're coming together. That's what we're looking for. Places like Gravelly and Bluffton over in western Arkansas. And then also out to the southwest of Norman along Highway 240. Looks like there's some wind that's blowing out of there and a little wind away from the radar site. And those are the areas that we're watching. It doesn't mean that there are tornadoes there, but there is a lot of wind along with this. And I'm going to look at the recent power outages, and I believe they have gone up again. Yeah, 12,500 without power. And again, primarily in Howard and Pike County. In Howard County, out of 6,900 customers, 4,400 are without power. That's more than half the county is without power down into Howard County. So there has been a big wind component to these storms. Pike County, almost the same thing, 3,400 without power. Montgomery County, those are going up, but only at 137 and 146 in Polk County. So Howard and Pike County have been hardest hit right now, and so we'll continue to watch. No tornado warned storms, but I think this is an area. If we could go to the other source number 3 for me, I'm going to show what I'm looking at wind field-wise along the leading edge of this and why we're concerned about wind. If we can go to our other source, I'm going to show you a couple of spots, and there they are. I'm going to move them over for you. And this is primarily looking into Montgomery County and down into Pike County. So here we are. Norman, right there. That's a storm that's trying to rotate. Winds going away from and toward the radar site in a relatively small spot. Another area just to the south of there, a wind maximum right there, not so much away from. Out east of Murfreesboro in Pike County, that's a lot of wind. There could be some rotation that's trying to start. But those bright greens right there, that just means that there is a lot of wind energy with these storms. There's a lot of water. There's a lot of wind coming down out of the bottom of the storm, and it can't go into the ground. So the wind has to spread out along the ground. Even if there's no tornado, these can be devastating storms. They can bring trees and power lines down. And so those little spots are what we're looking at, and I know what the National Weather Service is looking at. I would say the one between Norman and Mount Ida right now, I would say that one maybe looks a little stronger than the other ones. And I'm going to see if the National Weather Service is talking about that. Says the line of storms is about to move into a better environment. We talked about that briefly a little bit. Upper 70s to low 80s. So it's getting out where the clouds have thinned and it's really warm and really humid outside. And that makes for a very, what we call buoyant air mass. It's easy for air to lift if it's warm. We all know that, right? Warm air rises, but humid air rises very much more rapidly as well. And so it's a very buoyant atmosphere. That means the storms can bubble up into the atmosphere. And that will probably last for a little while. I don't think it's going to last all night, may not even last much into the evening, but through the late afternoon hours, I think that's something that we're going to have to watch, James.
Yeah, and I've got the Hot Springs Tower Cam pulled up here, and so we're looking back towards the west. Our tower cam sits just north of Hot Springs on the mountain, and you see the skies beginning to darken. Again, probably not everyone seeing high winds. This is not a line that's just going to down hundreds and hundreds of trees, but a tree here, a tree there, gust of wind up to 60 miles here or there definitely is very possible. The Hot Springs Airport sits right here on the southwest side of town, so we are going to have some ground truth as to what this line is doing as it approaches some airports closer to central Arkansas. The new severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect for Montgomery, Garland, Western Hot Spring, and Clark County has this storm now moving at 40 miles per hour, so we'll adjust the timing on the storm track that I've been pointing out. The same thing with the storm that's entering Yale County. I think the storms will pick up speed just a little bit. So again, that's going to put it on the western side of the metro area of the Benton area, Perryville, Morrilton, as we get close to 5 o'clock. So what do? You got lots of people getting out of school soon. You've got lots of people that'll be heading home about 5:30 p.m. Just pay attention to the weather. These storms, I think you can drive through them, but again, if there's pockets of stronger winds, you don't want to be anywhere near falling trees. It's a good idea while the line is passing through your location just to be inside and not on area roadways while this line is coming through. Especially out here as the line, I think, could be intensifying within the next hour. And of course, with any tornado warnings that are issued, if it happens here in the next hour or two, you just want to shelter in place 10 to 15 minutes. That's really as long as these threats are probably going to last today when it concerns a tornado threat. And then it will probably just see the line continue to race eastward. There's, and again, that is the view from Hot Springs looking towards the west. I'll show you the latest storm track as the line continues to move towards the east, slowly accelerating as it does. And right now, I don't notice too many indentions along the line where you have the possibility of tornadoes, but certainly It looks like it's going to be a high wind producer. And let me get the correct storm track here. So going towards the metro area in the next couple of hours, moving it to this line, moving at 40 miles per hour. And there you can see the times when we kind of expect this thing to get to certain locations. The Malvern area here in about 1 hour. Benton as we get just before 5 o'clock, and then Little Rock, instead of being after 5:30, I think sometime between 5 and 6 is when this is coming through Pulaski County, probably with a severe thunderstorm warning with a threat for strong to damaging wind gusts. Got a couple of questions not too long ago. Is this wind threat like what we saw on the morning of April 5th? And this is a little bit different because that came after inches and inches of rainfall and trees were very easily pushed over. Our ground is not saturated like that. So could we see a few trees down, a few power outages? Yes, I think we will, but I don't think we're going to see widespread damage. I mean, that day had 120,000 people without power. I don't think that is the level of event that we're looking at, but a pretty standard damaging wind event here for us in the late spring. This is pretty common. I think that is what we're going to see. So the line still looks very strong now. It's coming up on Glenwood. Still watching for areas of weak rotation within the line. We currently have no tornado warnings in effect. These are just severe thunderstorm warnings for 60-mile-per-hour winds. And that is the storm track as we go out towards the metro area, 4, 5, and 6 o'clock. We're going to be seeing these storms move through, and it's going to be during rush hour. Barry?
All right, new tornado watch. We figured the tornado watch would be extended, and so for the central into eastern Arkansas, it's been extended until 10 o'clock tonight. I don't think our threat will be until 10 o'clock tonight, but that's when the new extension of the watch has been issued. So really it covers a broad area of the state, and the counties that the warnings are including now, Yell, Montgomery, back into Garland, Clark, eastern Pike County, and on down into Ouachita County and Nevada County as well. So it's edging this way. In fact, it's more than edging. It's 40-mile-per-hour forward motion. So this is going to be here sooner rather than later. We're at 3:30 now. A couple of hours to be in the Little Rock area, I believe. And we continue to watch the storms that are racing out along that line. All severe thunderstorm warned, and a lot of times we aren't on the air for severe thunderstorm warnings, but this one has such a power to produce power outages, has a propensity for that. We're going to stay with this because at a moment's notice there could be a spin-up tornado with that. So we're going to stick around with it for a little while to come. There are no severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings in effect, but all the way from Gravely to Danville, this line that's bowing out, kind of the north edge of it, is moving up into Yell County. And from Montgomery County on down to west of Glenwood. If Glenwood right now you're in a severe thunderstorm warning, this line is approaching you. And I think it's got plenty of wind along with it. In fact, we'll take a look at the wind field within it. And this, it just shows areas that are trying to rotate. We go from the Fort Smith radar here, and we're just trying to look for reds and greens coming together. I just think there's a lot of wind on the leading edge of these through Norman, up coming into Mount Ida. The wind field is sometimes what we really have to count on because a lot of times when you see just the rain, you can't really tell what the wind is doing inside of the storm. But this looks like it has a potential for that. In the Little Rock, from the Little Rock radar, from Pike City up to Amity, this line will be approaching, and Glenwood as well, Norman, and into Mount Ida. James put a track on this a little bit earlier, but I think it just bears kind of reiterating that we will have this coming through as we head into the late afternoon rush here from Hot Springs over into the Little Rock area. And the forward motion, you said, James, was 40 miles per hour along this?
Yes, they've got it at 40 miles per hour now.
So we're going to go 40 miles per hour, and that takes it Mount Ida roughly now, Ouachita, Arkadelphia, Hot Springs, and Malvern by 4:30 this afternoon, kind of the leading edge. So you've got about an hour until it's there, maybe a little bit less for Arkadelphia, and points out into Hot Spring County, into Garland County as well. Hot Springs, you're going to be within this at 4:16, so about 45 minutes or so, maybe about 40 minutes from right now. There's the line as it continues to progress, and James showed it a little bit earlier, but let's go into the Futurecast modeling, and I'm going to just step you through it here. And this is from basically right now, it's doing a good job initializing about where those storms are right now. And we always look for that initialization, like, is it seeing what is actually happening? It does look like it will. Moving on out into the Little Rock area there. This one may be a little bit slow. It doesn't have it getting into the Little Rock area until 7 o'clock. I think roughly it's going to be faster than that. Let's take a look at another modeling here. And yeah, it shows, I think, a little more accurately moving into Little Rock Metro between 5:30 and 6 o'clock. Yeah, I would tend to think this. But still, you have those bowed out areas right there that we're going to have to watch. And especially on the north edge of them, you can have a brief tornado with these. A little bit different setup than back on, well, April 2nd, back on March 14th. This is more of a line that we're expecting damaging winds to come blowing through, and it's more of a broad area with the possibility that a couple of them could have tornadoes along with them. It's not out of the question, especially, I think, over the next couple of hours. Then I think that threat will start to diminish, and this whole line will just kind of move on out into maybe a little less conducive environment. Hopefully that happens sooner rather than later, James, but there it is right now. It comes on in. Be approaching the western edge of Garland County. It's moving into Yell County right now.
Yeah, and I think you said it well. The tornado watch, it's in effect till 10 p.m. The severe threat is not going to last until 10 o'clock. In fact, once the line passes your location, the severe weather threat is over. So Hot Springs, your threat is really within the next hour. Little Rock, our threat is really going to be about 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. and then it's over. And after 7 o'clock, I think the line really starts to fall apart. And after dark, I don't think there's really a strong severe weather threat. So we haven't seen a tornado warning for about the last 25 minutes, and I don't anticipate that we see one issued at least in the next couple of minutes. Still have severe thunderstorm warnings, and includes all of Garland County. And these storms are going to be getting very close to Lake Washita and then eventually Lake Hamilton, the greater Hot Springs area, and Hot Spring County. Bismarck is going to be first up for that western edge of the county. And really, this part of the line segment down here in Pike County, that's where a lot of the higher wind reports have been, with downed trees and power lines, presumably due to these storms back in Sevier County and Howard County. That's where a lot of our power outages have been reported. So this line continues to advance east at 40 miles per hour. That's pretty standard severe weather risk for us today. It wasn't by any means a high risk, but that doesn't mean no risk. I'll show you the severe weather risk areas as we track these storms coming into the metro area. I'd say today is kind of a lower risk severe weather day. The tornado threat, while low, definitely not zero. And you see the National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center has the area that outlined with that low tornado threat right in advance of that line, right to the western side of the metro area. So that's really the area where I think, could we see a couple of tornadoes? Yes. Russellville, Conway, Little Rock, down to Camden, just to the west. And that's really about the next 2 hours as this line moves towards the east. So that's what we're going to be watching for in the short term. And Barry pointed it out well that the line kind of really begins to fall apart after we get past 7 o'clock. But I got to tell you, as you look at the regional picture here, the strongest line segment that is with this system really is the one that's rolling through west central Arkansas right now. The stuff down in North Texas, that's where the highest severe weather risk was today, but a lot of that is just now surging towards the south, and there's not a huge severe weather risk there now. That's how weather changes very quickly. And the one place you thought has the highest severe weather risk no longer does, and I'd say the highest severe weather risk today is with this line segment over the next 2 to 3 hours, moving into west central and central Arkansas, and that's mainly going to be strong damaging wind gusts, but would not surprise me at all if we see a tornado or two in the next couple of hours. It's late April. This is peak season, and I think today, if you had to average all the days together where we get tornadoes, today might be number one on your list. Very late April, very early May. As I look down the line right now, I don't see much in the way of rotation. It certainly looks a lot less impressive than it did just 30 minutes ago when we were tracking a couple of different areas. What we're looking at here is just areas of wind that are moving off towards the east. And you see the dividing line there between the red and the greens. That's wind that is punching out through the storms and being transported down to the ground. And that is how you get down trees or down power lines. And sometimes it can be in a swath maybe a swath that's a few miles long, kind of like a weak tornado, but it's just straight line winds blowing in one direction, usually west to east in this case. I do notice just maybe one area of rotation developing there in Yell County on the northern edge of this line segment. We'll see if that holds together. Back into Montgomery County, maybe another area of weaker rotation that's starting to develop. I'll point it out here for you. There's one, and perhaps there's another one just to the north of Highway 270. But I wouldn't say these are strong areas of rotation. It's just areas that we are going to watch as we go through the next 25 to 30 minutes. I do want to really key in on the radar here, because it's going to be like a big wall of water that arrives, and there's going to be some wind embedded within that. We'll take a look at the Hot Springs Tower cam here real quick, and it looks like the skies are still just kind of darkening to the west, and I think that's the edge of the lake there that you can see on the left side of your screen. The camera there, it's pointed towards the west, still a good distance away, but I bet what we're going to see on the leading edge of this storm is what's called a shelf cloud. Now, shelf clouds can look very scary. They can look sometimes like a wall cloud. Sometimes it's misidentified as a wall cloud, but it's a low-hanging cloud that kind of looks like the edge of a shelf, a curved shelf. And so that's what the leading edge of this will probably look like. And a lot of times what that means when you see that is it's going to rain very heavily, and sometimes there can be strong winds right behind that, or sometimes just in advance of that. So there's the line now. It's getting into the eastern sections of Montgomery County. It's now getting through Glenwood. It's not going to last long. The rain will be very heavy for a short period of time, but then it will end, and I think we'll just have regular rain and regular storms as this pushes towards the east. The latest power outage numbers, as we're getting updates from poweroutage.us, is still around 12,000, so perhaps the line maybe not as strong as it was when it entered southwest Arkansas. I do think the line now, it extends all the way through most of what's going to be Clark County, so Prescott up to Antoine and Glenwood, strong winds along that part of the line, and then stretches all the way up to Danville. And Barry, what I think we may see here in the next hour is if this line can remain very well organized, there might be a segment or two along this line that start to bow out. And that is where you see the potential for maybe 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts and maybe some real wind damage. And I think we may be starting to see that west of Arkadelphia as this storm moves towards DeGray and the I-30 corridor. The model data did show that about this time. So between now and 5:30 to 6:30, I think it's possible that we see a couple of enhanced areas of wind damage along the line. Tough to say exactly where that's going to be now, but the severe thunderstorm warnings remain in effect. We've got a lot of schools that maybe have let out in the last hour, and that's great, but if they're letting out about right now, any that are letting out in Arkadelphia, Hot Springs, Danville, I think the key is if the storm is on you, just wait it out 10 to 15 minutes. If you still got some time further towards the east, let's say towards Benton, Bryant, Little Rock, Conway, and maybe even Arkadelphia, just get where you're going before the storms arrive. I think it's going to be rain and high winds, and if there's any tornado threat at all, if we notice any rotation at all, we're going to point that out, and we'll tell you who needs to seek shelter, who doesn't need to seek shelter, and about how long it's going to last. And I don't anticipate tornado warnings lasting too long today. Barry?
All right. Yeah, I think that leading edge, I think you're just exactly right. And this southern end of it looks quite strong to me. But moving into Clark County, all the way from Mount Ida down into western Clark County, I think there's a real wind threat along with that. And James pointed that out very well. You won't see damaging winds along an entire path. You'll see them embedded within an area that has winds bowing out like that. And I think you're going to see some real backward seas, those bow structures. And at the leading edge of that, that's upper level winds kind of going perpendicular to the line and making the storms go even faster in an area. They're already producing wind, so the forward speed and the wind coming out of those storms can really combine to make it a big high wind producer. The wind is what we're looking for inside of this, and there are some spots along it. I think southeast of Glenwood, there's a lot of wind along with that storm. East of Mount Ida right now. Also up into Yell County. I think it shows up a little bit better on our other source. If you could briefly switch me over to that, we'll show you that southwest of Danville, there's just some areas of bright green there. This is just areas that may be trying to rotate, but I think primarily it's just an accentuated wind field there in Yell County. So a couple of spots. You're in a severe thunderstorm warning. It's not the time to get on the road if you're out in advance of this line. I think northeast of Glenwood, there's some real wind along with that storm. There's wind down coming into northwestern Clark County, and that's the one I'm really kind of more concerned about, I think. It just shows up a little more prominently there. There could be some wind going away from the radar site as well. If there is a tornado warning with that, that's going to become a little more apparent. Those reds and bright greens will come together. But I just think it's a big boat-out wind area that'll be moving toward DeGray Lake and Arkadelphia, all across northern Clark County. So that's the thing that we could see down power lines, down trees, and sporadic power outages as well. While I'm thinking about that, I'm going to go into the power outage map. And right now, the number is really holding fairly steady. It was 12,500. It's 12,700 right now. Pike and Howard County, by far the most outages, and still in Montgomery County, only 149. And it's been kind of blowing and going in Montgomery County for a while. So that leads us to believe that, you know, maybe the winds are strong, but not strong enough to produce power outages. And that's some good news in there. I still think, though, from Mount Ida down to the southeastern part of the county, those are big wind producers. There's the next frame, the next scan of the radar really shows a lot of wind coming into northwestern Clark County. And let me zoom in just a little bit more on that. And we've got Amity and Alpine, and I just think those are areas that we need to probably really watch. If we go back on our other source, I'll give you some road names there, and there's that big area of wind along Highway 8 and right around Amity. That's just a big wind producer right there. So you got Fendley, small community of Fendley and Alpine, as Garner Mountain Road, and Highway 182 goes up north out of Amity. So if you're in that area, I know it's not tornado warned, but you're getting a good dose of wind right now. So get away from exterior windows and walls. And you're not going to see much because it's so rainy outside anyway. So just get into that interior part of your house. Trees, a few could get pushed over with this. We haven't had any reports yet, but it's really early in the event, and sometimes it comes a little bit later on. I don't want to get too focused in on just that, but I will tell you that that area, Borderwick Road, Calvin Road, Robinson Road, Highway 346, and then Highway 84 coming up out of Amity and winding through the mountains there. There's Massey Road and Caddo Bend Road as well. Back to the radar we go with that, and it's just pouring rain right now as it moves toward Bismarck, as it moves toward the Hot Springs area. And right now, I bet the Hot Springs camera is really starting to, I bet it's getting considerably darker. And in fact, I'm just going to lay it over our screen right there, and yeah, you can see it'll be a wall of water coming that way. So Hot Springs, get prepared for that. Wherever you are, just stay there for a little while. It's coming towards you, or wrap up what you need to do fairly quickly. We'll go back to our map there of the whole thing. The tornado watch has been extended, and it will run until 10 o'clock tonight, but it won't last that long in eastern Arkansas. Here is this red box around the yellow tornado or severe thunderstorm warning west of Russellville. That's a tornado possible designation, and that's with the one in the northern part of Yell County. And so that's in the Weather Service's mind, probably the one that has a little bit more potential to rotate, kind of on the northern edge of this line, and that would be typical, but we're not discounting it anywhere there. For right now, though, we'll continue to take a look at this. And yeah, there are just some spots that are just little indentations. And that runs all the way down to Danville, Waveland, Briggsville. See these little notches in the wind field right there? Not tornado warned, but there's a lot of wind coming out of this storm.
There are a few spots there within the Yell County storm that I have circled. And of course, you've got the mountains that run right here to the south of Danville and just to the north of Briggsville. And I think we may actually be seeing the winds modify a little bit because of that terrain difference, low-level terrain difference. It's very possible. So that has caused these to really begin to start to turn just a little bit. Instead of just being a straight wall of wind, you're starting to notice a little bit of a turning. And so that can sometimes result in weak tornadoes. So you've got one just southeast of Briggsville. You've got one just southwest, actually two just to the west of Danville. And both, I think all three of those are just weak rotation that we are noticing, and you know, I don't know that it's due to the terrain there in central Yell County, but the fact that it didn't really start doing this until it encountered some of that terrain does make me think that that's a possibility. So we're watching that. I've got it from both radars. I do notice that the rotation is there, especially near Havana, but also just towards the north of Briggsville. Looks a little bit better from the Fort Smith radar just because of how that radar is oriented. And there's no tornado warning on those areas right now, but weak tornado is very possible along the line today for short periods of time. The line, though, down into the Clark County area certainly looks like it is beginning to surge northeastward, and I think we'll see some strong winds from that. And again, Arkadelphia has an airport, Hot Springs has an airport. We'll be able to check the wind observations to actually see what is happening. And actually, while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to pull up some of the other stations to look at some of the measured wind gusts that we have across southwest Arkansas, and we'll be able to see, you know, if these storms are actually producing the winds that we think they're producing. Because we can look above the surface with the radar, but looking at an actual measurement is a pretty big deal. So earlier we had a 49-mile-per-hour wind gust at DeQueen. The Mena Intermountain Municipal Airport there got to 38 miles per hour. So these are not severe wind gusts, but they're very strong. And as I've looked at, of course, at advance of the line, we're not seeing anything severe just yet, but some stronger wind gusts. Looks like at Odin, they had a 26-mile-per-hour wind gust, and that was as of 3:27, and at Mount Ida, 24. So maybe with the line going through there, those strong wind gusts aren't reaching the ground, but that is the newest information that I have for you on Ground Truth. Power outages are up to 13,500. The vast majority of those are in Howard and Pike County. You combine those two counties, and you've got really close to 8,000 or 9,000 there in those two counties alone. So sporadic power outages due to downed trees to be expected with this line. Again, the tornado threat, we just wouldn't call it a high tornado threat today. But as you look at the Hot Springs tower cam here, the skies are beginning to darken to the west. You got some cloud to ground lightning. We're beginning to see the leading edge of the storms there as they move into Garland County. And hopefully by now, if there was anybody out on the lake enjoying the good half of the day, they're off the lake now. Those very strong winds that could be arriving from the west. Looking at trying to find any areas of rotation along a line like this is pretty difficult. Just because you have so much wind, and you know, unless a tornado really starts to ramp up and get down, it can be very difficult to find. We do have an area of rotation there near Mazzern, and that's coming up on the Garland, Washita County line. I'll put this in motion for you so we can actually see if it's beginning to wrap up, and it sure is. That's going to approach this, I think, the Royal area here in just a moment. Again, no tornado warning. Hopefully nobody is just outside as we watch this line of storms come into the area, because I think there's going to be plenty of wind. But there's one spot. There perhaps is another spot that's trying to develop in the far western section of Hot Spring County. I think if there's any tornadoes today, they spin up quickly, and they probably aren't down for very long. So earlier we had a tornado warning in effect for about 8 minutes, and hopefully that's how this goes the rest of the day. For now, we've got lots of severe thunderstorm warnings, lots of heavy rain. Barry, I think you've got the latest radar image queued up here for us as the storms make their way into really the western side of central Arkansas now.
Yeah, you pointed out those areas of concern, and I think there are still some areas of concern, and it wouldn't shock me that briefly one of those could produce a tornado, but I think wind is our biggest threat, and you really see the bowing out of these storms as they move in a line on through. And we're talking about all the way from eastern part of Logan County, approaching Danville right now. They'll be approaching Dardanelle, kind of at the north end of this, but along this line, it looks like a pretty solid line, doesn't it? And then you go kind of inside the storm and look at the velocity product inside this storm. And I'm going to show you that out to the west of Danville, there's a little bit of an accentuated wind. Briggsville, there's a little notch right there. As we move from Montgomery County into Garland County, there's kind of a broad rotation out along Highway 298. This is out north of Lake Washita. And then you go to the south of Highway 270, which is south of Lake Ouachita, right there, north of Mazzern. This is a broad area. I wouldn't expect a tornado warning to be issued with that. But the wind coming toward the Little Rock radar site right there, I think that could be an area of just accentuated wind as it moves up across Highway 270. Don't be traveling now along Highway 270 west of Hot Springs. It's not a time to be out on the road with these storms. Very, very windy. And it still looks like to me that there is a tremendous amount of wind in northern Clark County along Highway 8. That's just a broad area of wind, and I think that could be high wind. This is an area that the Doppler radar measures toward and away from the radar site. This is toward the radar site. It'll be moving up toward Bismarck, so out of northern Clark County, headed up into the southern part of Hot Spring County. That's Highway 8 out to the west of Arkadelphia there. And this is what it looks like on radar. And so it's Arkadelphia, I know it looks like you're about to get poured on, and you are, because it's going to be a very, very strong wind. We're going to have some traffic cameras that we'll be able to show you very soon along Highway 240, I would think, we'd start to get there, Highway 7, but along I-30 corridor. We're going to stay with it just a while longer, folks, just because I think that the leading edge of this really has such a potential for power outages and for tree damage and power line damage. And
we'll be able to look coming up at
yeah.
Airports to get some ground truth to see, what is actually happening. I do want to show Storyteller real quick. We can go to, and there's the Hot Springs camera.
Hot Springs. You can start to see the rain shaft, the heavy rain really starting to come out of that.
That's the Okolona exit there on I-30, and you see the heavy rain falling there. That's along the leading edge of the line there that's getting into Prescott, and eventually will be up towards Gurdon. It's just a good old Arkansas soaker down in these areas. You see the rain falling. You don't see any tornadoes in this area. You see the trees blowing there, but that's extremely common this time of year. And looking at the west side of Hot Springs, look at a couple of our cameras that we have here. Nothing on the horizon just yet, but of course that's going to change within the next hour. And as you go up into the area of I-40, and this is going to be getting into the Russellville, Clarksville, Lamar area, I'll show you the camera at Knoxville. And it's beginning to rain there, I-40 very wet. And of course, as storms move into the metro area, as we approach peak traffic time, I expect that we're going to see a slow commute as we get to that 5:30 and 6 o'clock time frame with some very heavy rain expected in the metro area for a short period of time. I don't think this line is not just going to sit over one spot, but we could very well see some traffic issues as we go through the late afternoon and evening just due to the heavy rain that'll be moving through. Let's go back to Max 1. Do want to look at the latest radar that I have pulled up here, and there's our line of storms that continues to advance towards the east and northeast. Looks like the National Weather Service is going to keep these severe thunderstorm warnings for a while, and I'm going to continue to monitor our area airports to see if we have any strong wind gusts that really kind of catch your eye, and so far I don't see any, at least at the moment. Of course, I'll go to the camera here at Hot Springs as we have that line of storms getting very close to the Hot Springs Airport, and there you go. You can really, there's not even a shelf cloud there. It's just the wall of water and likely some wind that's moving towards Hot Springs and the Hot Springs Airport. So we'll stick on this for just a short period of time. I do want to show this wind coming in here. It'll give us a real up-close look. Barry, I'm encouraged. I'm not noticing any major wind gust spikes at any of the airports that this line has passed through. Mm-hmm. And our power outages, well, there was a big spike as the storms entered southwest Arkansas. We're up to 15,000 now.
That was Hempstead County really coming in, so way down in southwest Arkansas. But
Clark County, Garland, Hot Spring, Yell, all these counties are below 100 power outages, where you have Howard, Pike, and Hempstead, severe counties in the thousands. And that state total now is up to 15,000, but so far it's been mainly southwest Arkansas that has seen the highest rain. Now, I say all that not to say that this line is not going to do anything, just it hasn't as it's entered, gone from Garland into Montgomery County and moving into Yell County. I still think we could see some high winds, some trees down, a few power outages as it approaches Perryville, Hot Springs Village, Hot Springs. Again, a very fast-moving line. You just go inside for a little bit, get away from trees, get away from windows, and then this thing is out of here. And I think it's 4 o'clock. As we go through the next 2 hours, we're going to see this move across the metro area. It'll get through Benton, Bryant, Little Rock. And I'll go ahead and put on a new storm track there for us. It looks like we're watching rotation also that is near Bismarck. Barry, we were watching that one earlier. While we wait on the Weather Service to decide, they're looking into that area of rotation. I do want to give you another updated storm track in case you have just joined us on this line of storms as it moves towards the east. And there you see the latest time moving east at 40 miles per hour. Be near Arkadelphia any minute. It's getting into Hot Springs here within the next 15 minutes or less. The Little Rock, North Little Rock area sometime between 5:15 and 5:25. Pine Bluff, it's getting pretty far east there at 5:45. And again, the line may begin to weaken once it moves east of the Little Rock metro area. The area of rotation that the Weather Service has taken a particular interest in is near Bismarck, and it's just towards the southwest, a very similar spot to where we had rotation on Easter Sunday, and it's really just strengthened here in the last couple of minutes, and I'd call it weak rotation as it's about to pass over Bismarck. Again, it's embedded within an area of heavier rain, likely some wind, especially just towards the north of town. Remember, radars, when you get pretty far away from them, you're shooting up into the cloud. So you're getting a view at what's happening at 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 or 8,000 feet at this range. And what happens at the ground level is at least somewhat still a mystery to us. We know what usually happens when you have radar signatures that look a certain way up at 6,000 and 7,000 feet, but that's why I'm looking at area airports to see, if there's actually 60-mile-per-hour winds making it down to the ground level. Still, the maximum wind gust I see at Hot Springs is 29 miles per hour. The maximum wind gust in the state was 49 miles per hour, and that was as the line was doing damage in southwest Arkansas. That was at DeQueen. So I'll continue to monitor the airport at Hot Springs, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up the camera. I think you've got it pulled up there. As
I do.
As the line comes into Hot Springs.
It's just it's a wall of water coming right up on the airport, and the airport is just off on the left-hand side of the screen there. There's Lake Hamilton, one of the branches of it kind of on the west side, and this is a wall of water that's headed that way. And so it's going to start to pour very quickly, and there's a lot of wind with that. I will tell you, though, that I just don't think the tornado threat, although it's not a zero threat. I will warn you, the wind threat is really significant, I think, with this, and I'm going to show you why I say that. Here's the leading edge of the line. Go back on that. Here's the leading edge of the line approaching Hot Springs. It's moving into Bismarck right now, and there are spots along there. We can look inside the storm in the wind field, and I see a few areas that I think there's a lot of wind right now, and I think one of those areas is north of Highway 8 all the way up to Bismarck. That just looks like to me a tremendous amount of wind is associated with that storm, and it'll be crossing Highway 7 as it heads from Bismarck on the way down to Caddo Valley, so out of Hot Springs. That area right there, you're in a severe thunderstorm warning, as it should be, because of wind, not because of a rotating thunderstorm there. And I think just looking at this, I'm looking at it on another source right now, and at 5,000 feet, the winds are coming in around over 60 miles per hour. So that's at 5,000 feet. Are they translating all the way down to the ground? Well, I would just say let's assume they are. This is an exterior part of your house type of thing to avoid, the windows. There could be trees that are pushed over by there. The ground is not super saturated, but it's damp in most places. And so we're going to continue to watch that area. I don't think, though, there's widespread wind that's going on this, but I will tell you also that this is southern. I'll give you a little reference point here. This is south of Danville. There's another area of wind right there. It's kind of bowing out just a little bit. See it? It'll be moving across Highway 7 as well as it comes down into Garland County, out of Yell County, out of Perry County, rather. And so I think that's another area that we have to watch. It is severe thunderstorm warned. If I look at this, though, I don't see a spot where it's just obvious to me that there is any tornado threat with these. But again, some wind has moved through the Danville area. James, are there any local storm reports? I know it's a little bit early, but sometimes these will start to come in fairly quickly.
I don't have any so far. Of course, we may get more as these storms affect more people. But I'm still looking at wind gusts, maximum wind gusts to the west, 26 at Odin. That's 24 at Mount Ida, 23 back at the southern part of Sevier County, the newest wind gust, and that was, it looks like it's the delayed reports. We won't go over that one. It's a low number. Still waiting on a new number to come in from Hot Springs. But as you look at the newest orientation of severe thunderstorm warnings, so far today we only had one tornado warning, lots of severe thunderstorm warnings, and the newest orientation is that whole line from about Russellville to Hot Springs to Arkadelphia to Texarkana is under a severe thunderstorm warning. What you're going to see here over the next few minutes is another larger severe thunderstorm warning box, likely coordinated for areas to the west side of the metro area, including a lot of Conway, Perry County, Saline County, as the storm has the potential to produce some high winds. Again, storms like this, they don't guarantee that you are the person to see some high winds, but there's likely going to be at least a few trees down as this moves into central Arkansas, and a good chance that we probably see, I would say, at least another tornado warning or two with the storms just at times. So you get to that 5-6 o'clock time frame, it just doesn't surprise you to see an isolated tornado threat develop in lines like this. The strongest part of this line seems to be down through Clark and Hot Spring County, and that's moving off towards really the northern portion of this line segment is beginning to kind of race off towards the northeast. The southern portion of the line is actually beginning to slow. And there is going to be a part of this line that does get slow, and the heavy rain threat will increase wherever that is, because this is some very heavy rain that so far to this point has been moving very, very quickly, so the flash flood threat has remained low. You look down into the southern part of this line, and there's really no rotation at all. There's just the higher winds there in the western section of Hot Spring County that's moving up towards the Lake Hamilton area, maybe Hot Springs as well, just towards the north of Lake Hamilton. And there's a good point, point that I saw made earlier, is the northern portion of the line may actually end up having the higher threat for an isolated tornado, and that's because this area has a little bit better area of spin to work with. Still looking at some very weak rotation north of Danville, headed towards the Russellville area, and this is all now looking at from the Little Rock radar and even looking from the Fort Smith radar. Do notice it's probably the most impressive looking area of rotation that we have right now, right along Highway 27, and this a lot of times will happen on the northern end of line segments in events like this. That's where you start to see a little bit of turning. So this northern edge of the segment is where you can get a brief tornado. And so as we approach Russellville, we'll keep a close eye on that, see if it strengthens any further. And a lot of times, you'll see this not hold together for very long, but what you can see is the whole northern portion of the segment have a segment that rotates and then dissipates. Then you'll have a new one that rotates and then dissipates. Then you'll have a new one that rotates and then dissipates. And we'll see if it comes to that over the next couple of hours. Looking exclusively from the Little Rock radar, that area of rotation is still there. And if you're in Russellville, you get ready for some high winds, or at least winds of at least 30 to 40 miles per hour. The severe thunderstorm warning does include a threat up to 60 miles per hour. We don't expect everyone to see that. The threat for power outages, Barry, it's now still near 15,000, so no new numbers on the power outage threat. And it looks like you've got another view of that wall of water coming into Hot Springs.
Yeah, it's right on you folks in Hot Springs right now, and then it's moving up right onto the airport now, the very heavy rain. Again, power outage numbers are not really climbing in Montgomery County, places like Clark County or Garland County for now, and it really looks like there's a lot of wind in that northern part of Clark County. But this is the view from there. Could we take, let's take our storyteller real quick. This is just Highway 270. I've seen a bunch of traffic. Now, the rain is not there yet, but it's going to be there very quickly. And moving up on that corridor between Malvern and Hot Springs. But there's rain, there's heavy rainfall with this and a large area of severe thunderstorm warning. But the one that really is probably of most note to me, and James mentioned it, is just a big area of wind in the western part now if we can come back to source number 2, and the western part of Hot Spring County, moving right along the Highway 7 corridor there, and that'll be moving up toward Bismarck. So we'll continue to look for power outage information on that. I did see a school bus on our view from the Arkansas Department of Transportation camera, and they were scurrying down the road. Folks had been let out, kids have been let out in that area, and they're trying to get them home before this hits. And that's good news, but there's just a ton of wind, and I don't think anything more than wind, maybe a small area of rotation trying to form up to the north side of it, but that is not something that I don't think we're particularly concerned about right now. There's another brief area of wind. This is the northern part of Garland County right there, a little bit of a notch, and just a tremendous amount of wind coming toward or going away from the radar site there in the southwestern part of Perry County. So it's just a big wind producer there. That is the indication that we're getting. There are just patches along this that will have wind that is rushing out. And when we see those bright greens, they're rushing toward the radar site. And that's why I know that there are pockets of heavy wind within there pushing trees down. The key thing is, as James was mentioning, the ground truth. What's actually happening on the wind, the anemometers at the airport. And we haven't seen a ton of very high winds. Nothing that would indicate severe thunderstorm wind gusts or any storm reports that we've heard of so far. But we have had power outages in Pike and Howard County. That was way earlier, but Howard County is now to 4,900 without power, 3,400 in Pike County in the far southwestern part of the state. While in Montgomery County, you had, when this went through there, you had high winds from Mount Ida down to Norman, and there are only 200 customers.
I do have one report for you, Barry. A 46 mile per hour wind gust.
Where was this?
Belleville, and that is between Danville and Havana. So right there where the highest wind gust was, and it's really the area where this area of rotation just went through, the one area that I'm watching. Very weak rotation. Again, rotation so far today has really struggled to sustain itself, and if that keeps up, we won't see any more tornadoes.
I think that's an area of wind, James. I think
yeah,
it's
wind, and we have a report with it from right there along Highway 10, 46 mile per hour. So that is headed towards Russellville, and even 50 mile per hour winds can down trees and power lines. It's more likely to happen as you get towards 55 and 60 miles per hour, but that's the newest report. The latest report from the Hot Springs Airport, and the camera shot that we had didn't look too impressive. They had a 18 mile per hour wind gust at the airport just a few moments ago with thunderstorms, so the highest wind certainly not along that segment. And as I look down the line, I'm struggling to find any other impressive wind gusts. So this is the most impressive line segment that we have. I think that's in northern Yell County. The Weather Service says all rotation is struggling to produce anything, and that is a good sign. The main concern here is going to be straight line damaging winds. The Weather Service has placed a severe thunderstorm warning that extends out through most of Perry County. Again, that is going to be for high winds, and looks like, Barry, to me, looking at all of this together, I think the best chance to see strong winds may be on the northern section of this line. Perry County, Yell County, and then Pope County. I do think there's some stronger winds, but that line just went over the Hot Springs Airport and did not have anything close to severe wind gusts, so we may not see that severe thunderstorm warning expanded towards the east. It may just be this northern section of the line that they stick with. Still have 15 minutes left on the severe thunderstorm warning. That's for Garland, Hot Spring, Clark County, so there's plenty of time to watch that, see if it pulses back up. But it's definitely the northern side that I think has, at least in the short term, the strongest potential to produce any straight line damaging wind gusts. And of course, we do have a couple areas of weak rotation to watch for, and that's mainly, I think, right along Highway 27. Plenty of wind. That's headed towards Dardanelle and the Russellville area, maybe even Atkins there, just towards the southeast. A couple of cameras that I want to show you. I'll show you the first, the Hot Springs camera, and that wall of water continues to advance there. Visibility is really beginning to drop on our camera feed, and that's going to be approaching the airport too. So perhaps we'll get a better view of the airport or a better window into what's happening at the Hot Springs Airport here in just a moment. This is a live view from atop Mount Magazine. Over 2,500 feet up there, and we are no longer able to see what's going on up there as that camera is in the clouds. Certainly probably very windy up there, I would imagine. Looks like, Barry, the line will continue to advance here. The newest severe thunderstorm warning that we have has a forward motion of 35 miles per hour. So it's still not fast, but it's moving. And I want to put a storm track on that once again for those of you that are in the central Arkansas area, maybe asking you about timing. I'll push this out towards Searcy, Stuttgart, Pine Bluff, even though I want everyone to understand that as this gets past 6 o'clock, we really do think this line is going to begin to fall apart. Remember, on a day like today, not everybody's going to see severe weather. I think we all see some rain. Not everybody sees severe weather. There's just going to be a segment or two of this line that could produce some straight line winds, and then an isolated spot or two that could see an isolated tornado. And the word isolated means kind of needle in a haystack. There's just could be a couple out there, not expecting a ton of them. Benton, 450, coming up on Little Rock, 520. That really hasn't changed. That's in about 1 hour as this gets into the metro area. Coming up Carlisle, Searcy, east of the metro area after 6 o'clock. And again, the line may begin to diminish just a little bit. I think the rain will still be a threat, but I don't think the threat for damaging winds or tornadoes really continues much more beyond 8 to 9 o'clock. Certainly, I think the threat starts to downtrend just a little bit as we get to that 5 and 6 or 6 and 7 o'clock time frame. Barry?
All right, if we could take Storyteller real quickly. I just want to show you that this is along the Hot Springs bypass right there, and the rain is coming down, and this is looking eastbound, which I think it's this part of it out on the west side of town is actually going southward before it turns straight east there and goes around the town. But you can see folks getting off there on the exit, and the traffic is much slower than it was just a little bit ago. So it's downpours, but the camera's not shaking very much along there, and James indicated that the wind gusts weren't that strong. Let's go back to our storm scan, and storm scan will show what we're looking at as far as just little embedded pockets of wind, and one of them is approaching Russellville. And this would be out to the west of Dardanelle, Mount Nebo. It's going to be along with this, and this is Highway 22, headed on down just to the west of Hollis. On the velocity product here, this is really bowing out. That's just a pocket of very strong winds now that'll be moving along across Highway 7 and Hollis is in southwestern Perry County. So watch out for that. That's a very rugged, twisting, curving area there coming down into Hollis, and the visibilities are going to reduce very drastically. I mean, the whole thing is a heavy rain event, but the wind along it, I think in that southwestern part of Perry County, is strong. It's not as strong down into Hot Spring County, although there have been 600 power outages there. And then as you go on down, nothing that would indicate a tornado or super strong winds. So there are just a couple of spots that we're looking at approaching Russellville, southwestern Perry County near Hollis, and that would take in just that far southwest corner of Saline County, mountainous terrain over there. And then, to a lesser extent, down to the south of Hot Springs, headed toward the Malvern area. But I don't know that the wind field is as strong there. But obviously, they just issued a new severe thunderstorm warning. Every place along this line is going to be issued a severe thunderstorm warning. James?
Well, Barry, I think the trend so far has been good as we've watched these storms enter western Arkansas. It seems like they were very strong as they entered southwest Arkansas, over 15,000 power outages there. But just as of the last 30 minutes, the ground truth we're getting from airports and sites that measure wind, all less than 60 miles per hour. The threat for sporadic spots of wind damage is there, but I don't think this is, and we thought this coming into today, I don't think this is just going to be a widespread damaging wind event, and certainly nothing like Saturday morning, April 5th, where we saw over 100,000 people without power. That's not what this is going to be. This is pretty isolated severe weather event. with storms that are moving into the metro area, there's still a chance, the chance is not zero, that we could see an isolated tornado somewhere along the line. I think that would be really this northern line segment as it moves towards Conway and Perry County, Conway County, Faulkner County, and eventually Pulaski County. But at least for the most part right now, these storms, even though they are under severe thunderstorm warnings, and we're going to watch for high winds, I think the worst of it is going to be isolated not on a widespread basis like what we saw on April 5th. Barry?
All right, we are going to go back to programming now. Just given what we're seeing right now, we are not going to quit watching this line as it moves off to the east, as it approaches the Little Rock area. If it looks like the winds are picking up or there's an area of wind, even without a tornado warning, we will be back on the air. But again, we're going to be sending it back to our normal programming, and we'll have much more coming up at 5 o'clock, if not before that. Stay right here on Channel 7. You can follow us on social media as well, and at KATV.com, or download the KATV weather app for instant notifications as far as severe weather is concerned. But for now, we're going to watch the line out to the west, and we're going to send you back to programming.